At my wedding rehearsal, my maid of honor whispered, I slept with him. Twice. So I let her walk me down the aisle the next day. Halfway there, I stopped, handed her the bouquet and said, You finish this with him. Then I left. Still in the dress. Rehearsal night flowers always smell like a lie. Too sweet, too loud, curling into your throat until you can't swallow. I'm clutching the practice bouquet like it's a breathing tube when Sasha leans in, tucks a strand of my hair behind my ear and whispers, I slept with him, twice. The word twice lands in my chest like a second heartbeat. Once you can rationalize, drunk, stupid, one-off. Twice is choreography. Twice is a decision. I don't react. I don't flinch. My first instinct isn't even anger. It's logistics. Where do I put this information so no one sees me drop it? The coordinator is clapping, telling us to reset from the top, and Evan is down the aisle practicing a smile that used to make me breathe easier. Everyone I love is watching me practice walking toward the life I chose, while the person I chose apparently took a detour with my maid of honor. Say something, Sasha whispers, a little desperate now. Her perfume is heavy, gardenia over something medicinal. I don't look at her. When? She swallows. March, and last week. I nod like she told me she parked in a loading zone. March is when Evan and I were touring venues. Last week is when he was stuck late at work and brought me soggy Thai food at midnight, apologizing with kisses that felt like coupons. The coordinator waves me forward. I walk. The carpet is the color of old wine. The room is soft and dumb with fairy lights. I could scream and watch them shiver. At the front, Evan takes my hands, warm and familiar, like the lie and the truth are the same temperature. You okay? He murmurs, that private voice that used to feel like a home. Fine, I say. The word tastes like chalk. We practice the vows we won't actually say tonight. Repeat after me, the officiant says. In my head I do. I promise to love, cherish, and apparently share. Sasha stands to my left, ring box glinting, eyes glossy with the tears she knows how to produce on command. She's always been good at getting ahead of anyone's narrative, including mine. Dinner after. Toasts. My mother brushes imaginary lint from my shoulder and tells me I look soft. I excuse myself to the restroom and lock a stall and finally let the air leave my lungs. Twice becomes a metronome. Twice, twice, twice. My hands won't stop shaking. I squeeze the bouquet until the stems snap wetly and a thorn nicks my palm. It stings like proof. I text Sasha. We'll talk later. I text Evan. Nothing. I scroll. He's always been careful with his phone, face down at meals, new passcode after a software update, work memes, and Slack that apparently are national secrets. There's nothing to find. That almost makes me laugh. When I come out, Sasha is waiting by the sinks, mascara already smudged, a little performance of remorse. I messed up, she says, voice wobbling. It meant nothing. Nothing twice, I say, and watch her flinch. It was before you and Evan picked a date, she rushes. The second time, he was drunk, I was drunk, and I thought he and you were, I don't know, I'm a disaster. I'll tell you everything, I swear. Please don't ruin your wedding because of me. Because of me. There it is. The first pivot. My favorite woman in the world, making my pain orbit her like she's the sun. I stare at her until she looks small enough to fit inside the ring box she's been holding. I'm not ruining anything, I say softly. I'm reorganizing. Back in the ballroom, Evan tries to catch my eye. I give him my profile like a blade. People laugh. Someone drops a fork. It pings on tile like a starting pistol. I smile when I'm supposed to. I let my aunt hug me tight enough to bruise. I let the night keep moving because momentum is its own alibi. In bed, my childhood room, the ceiling still freckled with the glow-in-the-dark stars I stuck up at 12. I don't cry. I sort. I remember Evan saying, last month, "You're the calmest person I know." He meant it like praise. Tonight, it's a weapon. Here's what I know. She wanted me to break. Here's what I know. He wanted me to forgive before I fully understood. Here's what I decide. They will both get exactly what they wanted, just not in the way they wanted it. I set my alarm for dawn. I lay my dress across the chair and smooth the fabric like I'm petting a living thing. Tomorrow I will walk. Tomorrow I will stop. Tomorrow I will put the right people in the right places and let them finish what they started. The bouquet lies on my nightstand, stems bleeding onto a hotel napkin. I leave the thorn in my palm. I like the sting. It keeps me awake. It keeps me honest. The morning of my wedding felt like a hostage situation I'd agreed to. The dress was heavy, too bright, too loud against my skin. Every mirror I passed looked like it was mocking me. Perfect bride, perfect day, perfect lie. Sasha arrived late to the suite, coffee in one hand, curling iron in the other, all smiles like the night before hadn't happened. "You're going to look like a movie star," she chirped, avoiding my eyes. I just nodded, because she wasn't going to see me crack. Not here. Not with my mother fussing over the hem like the world might end if it touched the floor. The photographer came in snapping candids, me pretending to laugh at something Sasha said, Sasha pretending she hadn't gutted me 12 hours ago. I could feel the thorn cut in my palm reopening when I squeezed the bouquet, the dark stain spreading on the napkin hidden under it. It was like my little secret talisman, pain I controlled. 10 minutes before the ceremony, the coordinator popped her head in. "Ready to line up?" Everyone scrambled. My heart slowed. The plan had been forming since 5 a.m., every detail fitting into place like beads on a wire. Instead of my father walking me down the aisle, he's in a rehab facility 2 states away, I'd asked Sasha. Everyone thought it was touching, symbolic. Proof that our 20-year friendship meant something. She looked radiant in her champagne dress, holding the bouquet I'd hand to her soon. She thought she was going to hand me to Evan. She wasn't. Music swelled. The double doors opened. We stepped into that tunnel of faces, all smiles and cameras, the smell of lilies and perfume like an overdose. Sasha leaned close, whispering, "I love you, you know?" I almost laughed. Love, apparently, was something you could do between sheets with your best friend's fiancé. Halfway down, I stopped. It was like the whole church inhaled at once. Evan's smile flickered, confused. I turned to Sasha, pressed the bouquet into her hands and said, clear enough for the mic to catch, "You finish this with him." She blinked. "What?" I stepped aside, veil brushing her shoulder, and kept my eyes on Evan. His face drained. Murmurs rolled through the crowd like thunder. "You two have been rehearsing without me," I said. My voice was steady, almost gentle. "So why don't you skip to the part where you get what you want?" Gasps. My aunt covered her mouth. Someone in the back whispered, "Oh my God." I turned, walked back up the aisle alone, the train of my dress dragging like a severed tether. The doors slammed behind me, the echo ringing like applause. Outside, the air was cold and clean. My ride, our getaway car, was still waiting. I got in, still in the dress, still wearing the veil, still holding the thorn in my palm. The driver asked, "Back to the hotel?" I said, "No, anywhere but here." Inside, behind those closed doors, I knew Sasha and Evan were drowning under the eyes of everyone they'd lied to. And that was just the opening move. Don't forget to subscribe. The car dropped me at the edge of downtown, where no one from the wedding crowd would think to look. I stepped onto the sidewalk in full bridal gear, veil catching the wind, and every passerby's head snapped toward me. A man at a cafe muttered, "Runaway bride," under his breath like it was a compliment. I wasn't running. I was staging. First stop, the tiny boutique hotel where I'd booked a backup room 3 days ago, long before Sasha's little confession. Call it intuition, call it paranoia. I'd been feeling static in the air for weeks like a storm I couldn't see yet. The front desk clerk's eyes widened when I walked in, dress and all. I handed her my ID and the prepaid reservation slip. No questions. Just a keycard. In the room, I peeled off the veil, laid the dress over a chair, and finally let my hands shake. Not from grief. Grief was too clean. This was voltage. The kind you could use to burn something down if you kept feeding it. My phone buzzed nonstop. Evan, 9 calls. Sasha, 14. Mom, 6. And I wasn't about to deal with that voice right now. I didn't answer. I let their texts pile up because silence is its own kind of violence. Then I posted a single photo to my Instagram story. The bouquet on the passenger seat of the car, the caption, "Left it where it belongs." Within minutes, mutual friends were DMing me in all caps. I didn't reply to them either. I wanted the questions to multiply without answers. An hour later, the banging started. Not on my hotel door, but on my phone. Unknown number. "You think humiliating me in front of my family makes you better?" Sasha. I typed slowly. "Better? No? Smarter? Absolutely." She called instantly. I let it go to voicemail, where her voice cracked into screaming, accusing me of ruining her life, warning me that people will find out the truth. As if she'd forgotten that the truth was my whole point. Evan was more pathetic. His texts were all pleading. "We can fix this. I made a mistake. I still love you. Please don't do this to us." Us. The same word he probably used with her. By evening, I got word, through one of those gleeful mutual friend updates, that they'd both left the venue separately. Sasha in tears, Evan in a rage, guests whispering over their half-eaten salmon. My mother apparently tried to spin it as cold feet on my part. She always did like a neater narrative. That night, I started phase 2. I logged into the joint wedding email account, the one with RSVPs, vendor contracts, and every carefully crafted list. I hit forward all to a fresh burner Gmail I'd made at dawn. Then I sent a single email blast to our guest list. "The wedding is off. Groom and maid of honor are otherwise engaged." I included the photo Sasha once drunkenly texted me from a beach trip, her in a bikini, Evan's unmistakable arm around her waist, cropped just enough to be suggestive without crossing any explicit lines. It was petty. It was perfect. By midnight, Sasha's sister was calling me, half hysterical, half laughing, saying she'd warned her 1,000,000 times to stop chasing taken men. Evan's best man texted me, "Well, that's one way to save on the bar tab." I lay back on the crisp hotel bedspread, scrolling through the chaos, and realized something. This wasn't the end of the revenge. This was the ignition. And tomorrow, I was going to light the rest of the match. By morning, the storm was in full spin. My phone was a graveyard of unread messages, friends, relatives, numbers I didn't even recognize. Some were fishing for gossip, others pretending to check in, all of them desperate to know the same thing. Was it true? Oh, it was true. And I was about to make it louder. I started small. A quick message to Evan's boss, framed as a heads up from a concerned party. I wrote that I was worried about the workplace environment, given the inappropriate relationship between Evan and a member of the wedding party who attended multiple work events. I didn't accuse, just implied. People fill in blanks faster than you can draw them. Then I went for Sasha's social circle. I joined the private Facebook group for her yoga studio. Yes, I'd been lurking for months because she always posted her inspirational selfies there, and dropped a vague but venomous post about a woman preaching loyalty and trust while sleeping with her best friend's fiancé. No names, just enough detail for anyone who knew her to connect the dots. Within an hour, she texted me in all caps. "Stop slandering me," I replied. "If it's slander, it's not true. And you just confirmed it's true." Evan's response was different. He showed up. At the hotel. In the lobby. Still in the crumpled white shirt from yesterday, tie stuffed in his pocket. He spotted me across the lounge and came over fast, face tight. "We need to talk," he said, voice low but shaking. "You can't keep—" I cut him off. "I can, and I will." "Do you have any idea what you've done to me?" I laughed in his face. "To you? You think this is about you? You handed me a loaded gun, Evan. I'm just deciding where to aim it next." He tried to grab my wrist, reflex, anger, but I stepped back, loud enough for the front desk clerk to notice. "Don't touch me." His jaw clenched. People were watching. Good. Let them see the man who loves me. When he realized he couldn't win in public, he hissed, "You're making yourself look crazy." I smiled. "Crazy works better than naive." He left, slamming the glass door so hard it rattled. By late afternoon, Sasha cracked. She called crying, not screaming this time. Said her parents had stopped speaking to her, that one of her clients canceled a major order for the bakery she co-owned. I didn't say sorry. I didn't say anything. Just let the silence stretch until she hung up. That night, I posted one last photo. Me in the dress, standing in front of the hotel window, city lights behind me. No caption. It was art, and they knew exactly what it meant. I was still standing, still watching, still holding every receipt. But the real hook? I hadn't even touched the deepest piece of ammunition yet. Tomorrow, I'd drop the thing that would make sure neither of them could pretend this never happened. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. 1. The final piece was sitting on my laptop, zipped in a folder labeled Vacation Photos. Inside, a dozen screenshots. Not just flirty texts. Not just, oops, wrong person selfies. I'm talking time-stamped messages from Evan's work trip in March, the same trip Sasha just happened to be on for a friend's birthday. There was no mistaking it. His name in her messages, her contact name in his phone, the matching hotel wallpaper in both their pics. I hadn't touched them before because I think part of me wanted to believe they'd rot quietly in my hard drive. But after the lobby showdown with Evan and the crocodile tears from Sasha, I realized something. These two still thought they could outspin me. So I packaged them neatly into a Google Drive link, made the folder public, dropped it into a group text with Evan, Sasha, their parents, my parents, his co-workers I vaguely knew, and, because I'm nothing if not thorough, the entire wedding party. The caption? Since there's some confusion, here's the syllabus. The replies hit like popcorn. Jesus Christ, dude. I knew something was off at the engagement party. Oh my God, Sasha. You're disgusting. Respect for handling this like a queen. 5 minutes later, my phone rang, blocked number. I answered anyway. It was Evan, yelling so loud I had to hold the phone away. You just ruined my career, he shouted. No, I said, calm as ice. You ruined your career when you couldn't keep your zipper up. I just handed out the press release. Click. 2 hours later, Sasha's sister messaged me a blurry photo from across town. Sasha outside her bakery, screaming into her phone while a customer ripped the Best of City 2024 sticker off her door. Apparently, the post in the yoga group had made the rounds, and people were review bombing her business on Yelp with one-star essays about morality. I didn't write a single review myself. Didn't have to. The avalanche had started. By evening, my mom finally broke through on my call block list. She didn't yell, didn't plead, just sighed. You've made your point, honey. Maybe it's time to stop? Mom, I said, staring out at the glittering city. I'm not even halfway done. I ended the call before she could say my name in that disappointed way. Because here's the thing. People think revenge is about the moment. The big reveal, the gasps, the slam of the door. But the real art, it's the slow burn. The days afterward, when every call they answer, every message they open, every step they take is another reminder that they detonated their own lives. And you just drew the crowd to watch it happen. And I still had one more stage planned. Something they'd feel in their wallets, not just their pride. By the third day after the non-wedding, they were in damage control mode. Sasha posting cryptic quotes about truth always coming out and healing journeys. Evan going silent on socials but lurking my stories like a moth to a flame. Perfect. That meant they were distracted. And distraction is when you hit the money. Evan and I had a joint account for wedding expenses. Technically, it was under my name with him as a co-signer, because his credit score looked like it had been hit by a bus in college. I deposited almost everything, my savings, a chunk of a bonus check, and the monetary gifts family had sent early. He'd pitched in, less than a decent couch. Before he even knew I'd left the aisle, I'd set up a transfer, emptied the account into my personal savings. By the time he tried to log in, it was bone dry except for $214. That's not petty cash, that's petty spite. Then I called the caterer, the florist, and the DJ, told them the wedding was canceled, sent them screenshots of Evan and Sasha's messages as proof it wasn't my fault, and, my favorite part, politely requested refunds. Some wouldn't budge. But the DJ was so horrified he agreed to wire me back the deposit and offered free service for any future celebration. I told him I'd keep that in mind for the divorce party they'd inevitably have someday. But Sasha? She was the goldmine. Her bakery had a silent partner, her uncle, who'd fronted most of the startup capital. And I knew something Sasha didn't know I knew. He'd been this close to pulling out over ethical branding after her last PR stumble. So I sent him an anonymous email with links to her texts, the yoga post, and a screenshot of the Yelp reviews. Within 24 hours, he froze the business account and started looking for a buyer. By the time Sasha realized, she called me sobbing. "You're destroying my life." I almost thanked her for the compliment. Instead, I said, "No, I'm just pointing out where the cracks are. You're the one who built on sand." She screamed something about lawyers and defamation before hanging up. An hour later, she texted, "I hope you choke on all that money." I sent back a heart emoji. Meanwhile, Evan's landlord, who also happened to be my cousin, got wind of the situation. She accidentally misplaced his rent payment, slapped a late fee on him, and said the next slip-up would mean eviction. She told me this over wine that night, grinning like she'd been waiting years for an excuse. By Friday, their nice little bubble of financial comfort was punctured from every side. Wedding money gone, bakery account frozen, rent hanging by a thread. And the best part? I hadn't even spent a dime of my own on revenge. The city felt smaller that night. Word had spread so far that even strangers at a bar were whispering about that bride who walked out mid-aisle. I didn't correct them, just let them imagine the ending. They didn't know the real ending wasn't here yet. They finally snapped on Saturday. It started with a DM from a random account, no profile picture, no posts, calling me a vindictive psycho and warning me that karma will eat you alive. Cute. The phrasing was pure Sasha, but the all-caps screaming? That was Evan's flavor. I could practically hear them hunched over a phone together, thumbs flying, convinced this was going to make me back down. Then came the post. Sasha put up a Facebook status, public of course, claiming I'd been emotionally unstable for years and that she and Evan had fallen in love by accident while trying to help me. She called it tragic but beautiful. And because she can't resist performance, she attached a heavily filtered selfie of them holding hands on some sunny patio, like they were the protagonists of a Nicholas Sparks knockoff. I didn't comment. I didn't message her. I just shared the post to my own feed with the caption, "Imagine calling betrayal beautiful." And then, I waited. The internet did the rest. Her bakery's Yelp tanked another full star in a single day. Evan's LinkedIn got flooded with endorsements for skills like cheating, gaslighting, and maid of honor management. People screenshotted her post and turned it into memes, my favorite being a wedding cake topper of a bride walking away while the groom made out with the bridesmaid. By Sunday morning, they tried going physical. I was walking back to the boutique hotel from a coffee run when a car screeched to the curb beside me. Sasha's voice came shrieking out the open window. "Get in the car. We're talking about this now." I kept walking. Evan got out, slammed the door, jogged to catch up, grabbed my elbow. "Stop hiding," he barked. Every head on the sidewalk turned. I yanked my arm free, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Touch me again, and I call the cops." He froze, looking around at all the phones suddenly pointed at us. Sasha was still leaning out the passenger window, hair wild, mascara smudged, screaming that I was ruining 3 lives. I laughed, actually laughed, and said, "No, babe, I'm just documenting the ruins you built yourselves." I walked away while a group of 20-somethings started filming. One shouted, "Justice for the bride," and the rest cheered like it was a street performance. By that evening, clips of the altercation were all over TikTok. The hashtags, runaway, bride, and Sachs maid of dishonor were trending locally. Strangers were stitching my bouquet photo into reaction videos. That's when I realized they weren't just losing the people they knew. They were becoming characters in a story they couldn't control. And characters don't get to decide how they're remembered. The only thing left now? My finale. The one move they'd never see coming, because it wasn't about money or gossip. It was about making sure the two of them could never stand in the same room again without remembering exactly how I left them. Update 2. The finale came to me in the quiet, 2 nights after the sidewalk scene. It wasn't rage that sparked it. It was this calm, crystal moment of clarity. Evan and Sasha's entire connection, all their smug little tragic but beautiful garbage, was built on the thrill of sneaking around. They'd never actually had to stand side by side under real pressure. I wanted to flip that. Make them see each other not as co-conspirators but as dead weight. So I invited them both to a mediation meeting. Neutral ground. A rented conference room at a co-working space. I worded the email like I'd finally seen the light and wanted to close the chapter for good. I told them I had something for them, something valuable. They both showed. Of course they did. Sasha came in first, all fake composure and chunky sunglasses inside, like she was famous. Evan trailed behind, looking like he hadn't slept since the aisle. They sat next to each other, not touching, but I caught the twitch. She leaned away when his arm brushed hers. I slid an envelope across the table. Thick. Heavy. They exchanged a glance. Evan opened it. Inside, 2 neatly printed copies of a legal agreement I'd drafted with the help of a lawyer friend. It was a release form, giving up any and all claims to the joint account, the wedding deposits, and the honeymoon package I'd already resold. In exchange, I promised not to release the last set of screenshots. The ones they didn't know I had. The ones with dates, hotel receipts, and some very unflattering descriptions of each other they'd texted mutual friends in between hookups. Evan's face went pale. Sasha tried to play it cool until she saw the top page of the screenshots peeking out from my tote bag. "You wouldn't," she said. I smiled. "I already have. 2 timers set. If I don't cancel them in the next 12 hours, everyone in your contact list gets a copy." They signed. No arguments, no more big speeches, just 2 shaky signatures. Then came the bonus move. As they slid the papers back to me, I stood and handed each of them an identical manila folder. "You'll want to read these alone," I said, and walked out. Inside Sasha's folder, every screenshot Evan had sent people complaining about her, mocking her appearance, calling her clingy, admitting she was just a distraction while I was busy with wedding planning. Inside Evan's, all the messages Sasha had sent mutual friends trashing his performance in bed, his finances, and, my personal favorite, his bald spot. By the time I was halfway down the block, my phone was buzzing. Not from them. Oh no, they were busy turning on each other. But from a friend who'd been sitting in a cafe across the street. She texted me a photo. Evan storming out of the building, Sasha chasing him, both screaming. People were watching, filming, again. The clip hit TikTok within an hour. Comments poured in. Plot twist of the century. This is better than Netflix. She played chess while they were playing Twister. And just like that, I knew my work was done. Not because I'd destroyed them, they were perfectly capable of doing that themselves, but because I'd built them a mirror they couldn't look away from. Now all I had to do was sit back and let them watch each other burn. In the weeks after the conference room incident, the noise didn't fade, it mutated. The bakery never reopened. The temporarily closed for renovations sign stayed in the window until someone tagged it with Homewrecker HQ in neon pink spray paint. Sasha tried selling cakes out of her apartment, but every Instagram post she made got spammed with the wedding photo memes. Even her attempt at a fresh start under a new business name flopped. Too many people knew her face. Evan didn't fare much better. His boss didn't fire him outright, but restructured his role into something so beneath his pay grade that he quit in a storm of texts about betrayal and office politics. Last I heard, he was crashing with his brother in a 2-bedroom apartment above a vape shop. I didn't chase updates. They came to me without trying. Screenshots from friends, forwarded posts, the occasional whispered, "You won't believe what I just saw." It was like watching a house I used to live in collapse from a safe hilltop. Meanwhile, my life got quiet. Not instantly, not cleanly. I still had moments when the thorn memory of Sasha's whisper at rehearsal would jab at me. But the quiet felt earned. I went back to work, picked up an old hobby, and even started seeing a guy who actually shows up when he says he will. He knows the story. He also knows I'm not someone you betray unless you have a death wish. One night, a friend sent me a TikTok. Someone had stitched the clip of me handing Sasha the bouquet with a caption, "This is what reclaiming your power looks like." It had over 1 million likes. The comments were split between Queen Energy and I could never. But that's the thing. I hadn't thought I could either. Not until I did. People kept asking me if I'd forgive them someday. My answer never changed. I don't need to. Forgiveness is for people who still care enough to keep holding the rope. I cut it months ago. The dress is still in my closet. Not boxed, not sealed away, just hanging there, clean and bright, like it's daring me to wear it again for the right person. Or maybe just for myself. Sometimes I catch myself running my fingers along the spot where the thorn cut me that night. The skin's healed smooth, but I remember the sting. I like that. It reminds me I walked away still standing, while they're both still choking on the smoke they made. And if either of them ever tries to crawl back into my orbit, they'll find out the truth. I don't burn bridges. I blow them up and salt the ground so nothing grows there again. 2 years later, I'd almost forgotten the taste of that day. Almost. Life had moved on. I'd changed jobs, moved to a new apartment with windows that drank in the morning light, and started dating someone who treated commitment like a promise instead of a prop. The wedding dress still hung in my closet, but now it felt less like a relic and more like a trophy. Then, one Thursday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Unknown. "Hey, it's Evan." I stared at it, half laughing. I hadn't heard his name spoken aloud in over a year. Curiosity won, so I opened it. "Evan, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of that. Things with Sasha, they didn't work out." "No kidding." I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, another message. "Evan, she's suing me. For harassment. After everything I did for her, I don't have anyone else to talk to." That made me smile. After everything I did for her, he really hadn't changed. Still painting himself as the martyr, still expecting someone else to mop up the mess. I considered blocking him. Then I remembered something. Sasha had also blocked me on every platform, except LinkedIn. So I took a screenshot of his messages, found her profile, and sent it with one line. "Thought you'd want to know who's talking about you." She saw it within minutes. And because some people can't help but hit reply even when silence would save them, she wrote back, "Tell him I said rot." I didn't tell him anything. I just screenshotted that and sent it back to him. 5 minutes later, my phone lit up. 10, 15, 20 texts in a row, half from him, half from her, both accusing me of stirring things up, which was hilarious, considering the pot was already boiling without me. I put the phone face down, poured myself a glass of wine, and went to stand by the window. Outside, the city hummed the way it always does, oblivious to old wounds reopening in small, stupid ways. The truth was, they'd never escape each other. I'd made sure of it the day I put those folders in their hands. Even apart, they'd always be linked by the memory of how I left them, halfway down the aisle, bouquet in Sasha's grip, the whole room watching. That was my real revenge. Not the money, not the social ruin, not even the public humiliation. It was knowing that every time they thought about each other, they'd also have to think about me. And I'd be somewhere else entirely, thriving, untouched, a ghost in a wedding dress they could never bury.